Hi everybody, we are Mike and Brenda Baker, and today's topic is abuse in your second marriage, how to stop it.
Okay, let's do a disclaimer here. We're not giving you legal advice, okay? These are the things that we have had to advise other couples of over the years. These are the things we've seen. We're not going to go into specific stories per se, but we really felt that we needed to approach abuse because when we're talking about a lot of these things, there's always going to be the abused spouse, and that would be male or female, okay?
Yes.
Just for your information, I have known men who have woke up to a racquetball racket upside the head from their significant other. So this is not strictly a husband to wife issue. This can also be the other way.
The second disclaimer that we have is we don't encourage people to get divorced. However, we are going to talk about what we usually suggest with to people when there's been abuse.
We do have some hard lines on
Yes.
this. So that's what, although we don't push divorce, we don't endorse divorce.
Yes.
But there are times for the safety of the spouse that it's time to get out. Okay, and that's what we're talking about here. So let's define abuse for a second. Okay, abuse can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be sexual. It's when somebody has misused somebody else in one of those ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said in another video for my wife with her ex-husband, she was physically, emotionally, verbally, and sexually abused by her husband. She was ex-husband, sorry, not me. Growing up, I was verbally and emotionally and somewhat physically abused by my dad. She had some neglect from her dad. So, these are all things that factor into it. So when we're defining abuse, we're defining it as the misuse of a relationship or the misuse of a physical person in a manner that is not conducive to their benefit or the benefit of the relationship. Hopefully that makes sense. So with that, we're just going to move straight into abuser accountability. This is a difficult one in the fact that, well, how do we hold abusers accountable? Okay, well, they say I don't know the specific numbers. I can tell you from experience that for every one person who has told us they were being abused, there's probably at least 5 others out there not saying anything.
Yep.
Okay, and it's because nobody understands abuser accountability. I would say the single biggest thing that people who are abused need to understand, I understand they're scared. I remember as a kid, my dad was not a nice guy. Told me every day for I don't know how many years, basically, that I was an idiot. Okay, and so when I left the house, I was convinced I was the dumbest person on the planet. But Dad scared me too. Dad was this big alcoholic dude, and it wouldn't be the first time I ever got knocked around. It would take me a week. I would want to go to a friend's house on a Sunday, and it would take me to the next Sunday with that question on the tip of my tongue the entire week. I can still remember what it felt like, tense for an entire week. No matter what else was going on, I wanted to go to this friend's house. It would take me a week to spit it out. And even then, it was weak when it came out, okay? So the point was I had nobody to advocate for me, nobody. The one person I had to advocate for me was the one person I couldn't go to. My mom, she was an abused wife. She had her own issues to deal with. Okay, so
she also turned a blind eye, though.
Well, and somewhat, but so the point is here is the thing that helps hold abusers accountable. You need help. You cannot do it by yourself. You can maybe leave the household by yourself, but you've got to have some place to go because you need help. Whether it be an abused women's
like a abused women's shelter. Network.
Network, and for the men, have somewhere you can go.
Yeah.
Where somewhere you can go chill, where maybe your spouse doesn't know about. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not saying keep secrets. I'm not saying if I have a secret place. I'm not saying that at all. Understand that you need somebody else around. You need somebody to go to. These huge corporations. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, right? I got news for you. He will not tell you for 2 seconds that he made all his money by himself. He has hundreds of people who help him make money because he doesn't do it by himself. You may know Bill Gates' name and none of theirs, but he doesn't do it by himself. You may understand that abusers, you need help, You never know the name of those people that help. It's always the abuser who's getting called out, but those people are essential.
So the first thing that we suggest if you are being abused in your remarriage is you figure out what the resources are in your specific town, in your specific state, and try to start gathering information so that you know what you need to do if it happens again.
If you need to call a cop and ask a question, call, because those are confidential calls. And if they ask you if you want to come over, or if you want them, and you are terrified for them to come, then tell them no. However, they will make a report that says you called, and it will be on record that you're concerned. Okay, now, this has got to be abuse. This can't just be, well, they didn't buy me the car I wanted. Okay, so, and we're not talking neglect,
I think we're clear
per
on
se.
that.
Yeah. So, but don't be afraid to reach out there. You have 5 minutes in your day that abusive spouse is not accounting for.
Yeah.
Use that 5 minutes wisely. Okay, so that brings us into our last question with a couple of caveats on it. When is it time to leave? We have a couple of hard lines on this, okay? So the first question is, when it's time to leave, when is it time to leave? Only you know when it's time to leave. In fact, if you have to ask, if you're an abused spouse and you are wondering if you should leave, if you've tried everything, if you've gone to counseling, that's a question only you can answer.
I guess I would a little bit disagree with you a little bit there. Because when I was being abused, I had many people asking me if I needed help, and I kept saying no. And I very much did need help. So if people around you are saying something, you need help right now. Don't wait.
Well, I wasn't talking about that.
Well, yeah.
I'm talking about the people who won't ask for help at all.
Yeah.
Who won't listen. Yeah.
No, I hear you.
So
I was just.
Yeah. So when is it time to leave? Okay. Let me get super hardlined on you. And this is the disclaimer. If your spouse lays a hand on you, it is time for you to get out until you guys can rectify the situation. If you've been sexually abused by your spouse, it is time for you to get out until you can rectify the situation. If you have been just verbally beat and in front of other people, step out until it's time to come back in.
And we're not saying go back when the apology comes.
No.
Apology is not enough. Changed behavior is the only reason that you would go back. But there would be a lot of very specific
things that need to happen.
Right. There would be things, because you are going to need some other people to be there for you. Your spouse is going to need accountability so that it does not happen again. There's going to be a lot of things that they have to do. So it might be for a time. You might be out for a while. So we're going to be honest with you about that.
Yeah.
If you're a woman and you go to a shelter, I know that they have, at least the ones that I've known about, there is a time period. You do go through some counseling and stuff, but it doesn't, there isn't always a time period that takes you back home. And so you need to plan for that.
Yeah.
You need to plan to be away from your spouse for a while. If you want your marriage to continue, you're going to have to be patient. You can't basically, how do I say this? You can't just want your spouse in sexual ways and then everything's okay. It's not going to work out well, because if your spouse will abuse you once, twice, 3 times, they will continue, and it will get worse each time.
Which means that the step up on their part has got to be considerable. Now, let me be very specific here too. I don't believe that every abusive spouse is an evil person at heart. Okay, a lot of them have their own. Okay, by the statistics, with my upbringing, I should have been abusive.
He's never been abusive.
But I chose not to be. So my point is I know there are other guys out there who had worse upbringings than me, who didn't know how to deal with it, and unfortunately, that's how it came out, was as an abusive spouse. And I've also known women who grew up abused, and they ended up as abusive spouses themselves, not because they were evil, but because they never dealt with their stuff. They never got that stuff, fixed or moving forward, and as a result, it came out in their marriage. So, should you go back? not until there is substantial work done on the other one's behalf.
Yes.
Not until you've moved back into, you never just go back. Our advice is always move into a dating status and work your way back that way. Okay? And then, you know, of course comes the other question, are there kids in the house? If there are kids in the house, what example are you setting to those kids by sticking around an abusive relationship? You think those kids don't know that you're being abused?
Right.
They know. And they're watching you. And what you're doing is you're setting them up for exactly the same marriage themselves, because that's the example they're seeing.
Right. So your boys, you are teaching that if you're a woman and it's your husband that's abusing you, you are teaching your boys that is okay treatment for women. 9 times out of 10, people that abuse their spouses, their boys end up abusing theirs as well.
Yeah. And
you're teaching your girls that this is normal in a marriage. It's not normal. It's not okay. It's not good. No. So just don't do it.
Yeah.
Or don't allow this.
And it goes the other way too. You know, I've seen women who consistently belittle their husbands. Consistently to an abusive level.
Yes.
Okay, if you think just belittling and nagging talk is just annoying, no. I've seen it done at an abusive level where a guy will shrivel like a raisin, and the guy, he can't make any decisions on his own. He's just beat down constantly. And guess what your daughters are going to do? Yeah. Okay? Guess what your sons are going to do? Oh, well, men are worthless. They're either going to go way over here where they become abusive, or they're going to go way down here where the father is now. You know, as a shriveled raisin. So,
and we want to just really say to you that we're seeing a lot more abused men than we are women right now. Mm-hmm. That's not cool. So let's guard our tongues and let's make sure that we're being careful with our spouse's heart.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
We'll beat that
well,
one.
this was a tough topic, and we're given a little bit of tough love on this one because I've been there. I know the thoughts that I had about my worth. I know the things that I allowed to happen that were not okay in any situation. And I'm very thankful that I wisened up when I got pregnant with my son, and I realized that he was going to be in the same abusive situation that I was in if I didn't get out of it. So if you are struggling and you're being abused in your remarriage right now, I'm going to put a link down below, an email address that I have a cold, an email address that I'd like you to email me at if you don't feel like you have anyone else to talk to. I always suggest that you find somebody in your own area. However, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm your girl. I want to talk to you. I want to help you. And so I'll put that link down below. Go ahead and use it if you have an abusive spouse. All right. Well, we hope that this helped you. We hope that this cleared up anything that you might be thinking that's just not wise if you're being abused. And we hope that if you've got any questions, you will bring those to us. And we just really hope that it inspires you to take a stand for yourself and for your children. Okay? We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.